from Fox Sports.
Hey guys, this is Cole Liker.
Hi, I'm Neil Collins.
You are listening to the Unused Substitutes.
The Unused Substitutes.
And you're listening to the Unused Substitutes.
Get off the bench!
Hey there, Little Red Riding Hood, I got a problem and it's complicated. Going through changes and I just can't ignore the signs. There and now it's so loud it hurts. Hear me call, hear me howl when the full moon
Off the row, ball's gonna bounce down, it's free in the box. Bicycle kick! Goal! Rowdies! What a play! What a shot! And it's 1-0 Rowdies!
Good evening, everybody. It's Wednesday night. This is the Unused Substitutes, your green and gold gospel, your Rowdies Power Hour, and sometimes an hour and a half. Live on Radio City, part of the Beautiful Game Network, and sponsored by Roughneck Scarves. My name is Matt. Making noises on the other side of the internet is Steven. How are you doing?
Hello, Matt, and good evening, everybody. This is playoff edition of the Unused Substitutes. Yay, playoffs! Everybody's so excited, right? Right? Like, everybody is really, really excited about playoffs, right?
Popping the streamers over here right now.
Yay!
Hey,
Okay.
we're still in contention.
Hey, dang it, it's not over yet, and that's what matters.
This would be the point where I would announce who this week's executive producer was, but I didn't get around to picking one because I'm a bad person, and also because my wife was out of town in an area of Florida that I won't name at a conference this week, which meant I was doing everything around the house, and it just totally slipped my mind. We will make it up to the remaining $10 donors as soon as possible. We know we're here at least next week. Assuming, there isn't a massive global extinction, which I guess, based on things I'm reading, and it could happen any day now. Who knows? Kind of felt like it happened last weekend. Steven, let's talk about it. Hartford 2, Rowdies 1. Not the one we were looking for.
Yeah, that didn't go as planned, did it? That was not good. Not good. So I was at the watch party with Ralph's Mob at Old Northeast Tavern. We had a pretty darn huge group of people. We had a good 50 people was the head count that we took on the night. Spirited group. We were in it all night. It was fun to watch, and I'm just going to jump right into like a kind of a good, bad, ugly. And I'm going to start with the ugly first, because the ugly was Malik Johnson, who from basically kickoff was screaming at our players for not making the right passes, the right moves, for not passing him the ball the way he wanted it. And you could just tell his attitude was off all night. I don't know what happened with him, but from kickoff, you could tell something was off. There were times where like Poku would get the ball out of midfield, dribble in towards the end, the touchline, and Malik stands there, doesn't move, doesn't make a feint, doesn't try and draw a defender away from Poku to give him more space to do something. He stands there, frozen, like a statue. Not once, not twice, counted 3 times. So we're sitting here watching that, and I made a prediction right away. I said Malik Johnson will get at least 1 yellow tonight. Absolutely, positively, and more than likely, it will end up being the first yellow card of the game. That was a prediction that I had made. Now, that turned out not to be true. Williams got the first yellow of the game in the 40th minute at Hartford, but Malik was the first yellow for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. And then disaster. What are you doing? I know that there are some people that think on the second play, the one that resulted in his ejection, was a dive by the Hartford player. I don't care if you think that or not. As a player, you do not come charging in from 30 yards away or 20 yards away at the back of an opposing player who has the ball and even remotely think about trying to make contact. What are you doing? You got a yellow card 6 minutes before that. That is the most boneheaded play I've ever seen. And I'm not going to say that cost us the game, but obviously you can't say it helped.
Yeah, it certainly didn't help.
It could not have. That hurt. Unbelievably, it hurt. But at the same time, his attitude all night was off. Something was wrong with him all game, and you could see it from kickoff. So he's my ugly tonight, or for the show. He's my ugly for what happened this weekend. I don't know where his head was. As far as good and bad goes, I'm still going to give my good to Gonzatti. I thought he played a good game. I didn't have any qualms about what he was performing and what he did on the night at all. My bad, because this is where things get interesting, is there's a couple, I almost have two, because one of the things that was really, really important on this game is we tried a kind of a different formation again this week. It's kind of a weird time to have to introduce something really radically different. Granted, we were down a couple of players, so we didn't have much of a choice. But we played Barry as a right back, played Morad as a left back, and pushed Richards to left midfield. That's different. We haven't seen that look before. I get the idea. It didn't quite get executed pretty well because Barry ended up being caught out behind Diakite on several plays that resulted in breakaways, that resulted in defensive breakdowns. He was not keeping his line with Diakite very well. And that could just be unfortunate because obviously it's not like they don't train together. But that hurt, and you could see that hurt. Richards doesn't push up the wing as well as Leo does. He doesn't take on forwards or defenders as Leo does because, again, it's not his natural position. Caleb's a defender, really. Mm-hmm. So, but that still hurts us tactically. Now, granted, again, how much options do you have on the bench, things like that? We'll get into that. But that still wasn't very exciting when we saw that lineup because we kind of knew how that would play out. But that aside, the formational issues, the tactical changes, the necessary roster rotation that we had to do this week, that aside, there are two people that I thought had really bad games. One, I'm going with Tejada. Tejada, and I've said this a lot on this show, but Tejada's strength is his work rate. He's not going to beat anybody in a sprint. He's not going to out-dribble somebody in some wonder-looking, messy type thing. His strength is pressure. It is causing havoc. It is dropping deeper than what some players might think or deeper than even what some fans may think is correct. That's his strength. He recorded almost nothing defensively all game. No tackles, almost no tackles won. Actually, I don't think he had any tackles won. I don't think he had any. I think he had one tackle lost, maybe something like that. But no interceptions, no clear. Obviously clearances you're not going to get as a striker, but he really didn't do anything. He basically sat there on the opposing back line the entire game and waited for things to come to him, and that is not his strength. Now, I don't know if this is maybe, again, length of season issues finally catching up to him since he's been playing in university level for a while and they play such a short season between university and PDL and the summer league thing. Maybe his legs have caught up to him a little bit here. I don't know. because we've heard that before with players at the MLS level, especially, of rookies having a hard time adjusting to the longer schedule. Maybe that's part of it, but he wasn't there on his work rate. What I also noticed of this game was Tanari. Tanari was, as a center attacking midfielder, okay, he virtually did not touch the ball at all between the middle, like I think it's like, what is the center circle's 12 yards wide or something like that? Something in that vicinity. He did not hardly touch the ball at all in the middle 12 yards of the field. In fact, you could even almost push that out further, and almost all of his touches during the game were outside of the width of the 18-yard boxes, between where that line would draw if you were to connect the corners to the touch lines. Almost all of his touches, his passing, his tackles, his takeaways, everything was out on the wings near the touch lines. You're the center attacking midfielder, and you are invisible in the middle of the park.
Hartford, we've got a problem.
You can't do that. You can't expect to find success when your center attacking midfielder is not in the center of the field creating things. All of his successful passes are out on the wings. He didn't even have an unsuccessful pass hardly from inside the middle of the field. You are the one that needs to be there, because that position is what drives that position is what's going to drive the north-south passing lane. And that's going to be you. You're going to be getting the ball from Poku. You're going to be laying it off for the overlap with Poku. You're going to get the ball from Adorty, and you're going to be trying to slip Tejada or slip Guizi through the line. That's your job. Now, granted, it's also your job to push out to the wing and provide support for the outside midfielders. That's also your job. Don't get me wrong. But you've got to be able to switch the field. You've got to be able to do the north-south passing. That's where his strength has been this year. The games that we have won, especially towards the second half of the season, the games that we win are when he's on point doing a lot of north-south passing. Not this east-west garbage, not this hanging out on the wings entirely and leaving nobody in the middle to clean up crosses. He wasn't there, which meant Poku was pushing up further. It meant that Doherty was pushing up further, which meant that we were more vulnerable on the back line because they're having to fill in his missing gap.
Yeah, going back to what you said about the lineup, when that came out, I think I think we were thinking along the same lines, even though I was at Shamrock instead of Old Northeast. My first thought was, my worst nightmare for this game was getting beat by pace on the wings and giving up a lot of space between midfield and the back with guys playing out of position. And it's exactly what happened. And then, the first 5-10 minutes, you're like, all right, it's the beginning of the game. They're kind of testing each other out, seeing what it's going to be like. But it just kept happening. And at some point, you're just, a goal is coming at some point, and it's not going to be for us. And then it did.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I don't want to say you could see it coming because,
I could feel it.
We weren't exactly being like played off the pitch at all in any way. It's just that we weren't lethal in that final third. And I thought that was one of the things that was frustrating about that match. Is it didn't feel like we were going to get a lot of opportunities to score in that game. And against a team that's basically, one of the worst in Eastern Conference, I don't know why we didn't – I don't know how our guys did not play more dominantly. Now, you could throw it out to the idea that it's a pitch surface and we suck on the pitch. We suck on turf. And we always have sucked on turf. I hope to God we don't always suck on turf, but it's for 10 years we've sucked on turf.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that boogeyman keeps crawling back to haunt us, but we have officially ended another season without a win on a turf field with 7 or 8 tries. I can't explain that.
Yeah.
I can't. There's no explanation for that. How do you have a team that's as dominant as we are? You take away those 7 or 8 games, and we're basically the best team in the league. It's just absolutely befuddling to me.
Befuddling is one way to say it. It's absolutely unacceptable. You have to find a way to compete on different surfaces and different stadiums in this league because you're not playing at home every week. It's just this is basic, fundamental, simple. Like, you just have to do this kind of stuff. Like, there's no other way around it. So we end up at one point down a goal and down a man. Neil brings on Lucky. I think Lucky was the first change, wasn't he?
Okay, so on the substitutions, we actually had a double sub in the 63rd minute. So
right.
Ekra came on and Kasana came on. Kasana for Tejada, Ekra came on for Tenari.
Lucky gets the goal. I'm assuming. Well, no, I did see you posted the video. I haven't watched the whole thing yet, but I'm going to assume that it was at least as nuts as we got at Shamrock. But then we just kept giving up opportunities, which you're down a man and you've been giving up opportunities at full strength. You kind of expect it's going to happen, especially when you've made several offensive-minded changes to get back in the game. And what, like 5 minutes before the end of the game, the dagger.
And I believe that's the 12th goal? Oh, no. Okay, so I'm trying to think of the stats because the team puts these out for us. On the media level, they break down the goals by minutes that's scored on.
Right.
We haven't given up a lot of stoppage time goals. But in general, that last 10 minutes of the game in general has been our Achilles heel all year.
It's
as far as goals being given up. Now,
it's a microcosm of the season because we're having trouble finishing out the season, just like we're having trouble finishing out these games.
Yeah. Now, granted, some of those are games like the Bethlehem Steel game, where we gave up a goal late when we were at Bethlehem, but we still won the game. It was 2-1, but it made for a bit more of a hairy finish than we were expecting, I think, when you're looking at that game 30 minutes in. But it's just this team, for whatever reason, has given up a lot of later goals. And even for a team that hasn't given up many, it's just kind of weird. I think some of it just has to do with the way we play the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think we get a bit lazier. And this is going to be a whole different discussion about why the season turned, after 20 games. Because we lost one game in our first 20. One loss in 20 games. And then we turn around and lose 7 of our next 14.
Yeah. Are we saving that for the off-season breakdown?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm okay with that because because I'm going to kind of hint at a couple of things when we start doing our little preview of Louisville this weekend, because I've actually got a bit of a interesting prediction for that game. So we'll see what happens here.
I heard you. So the game finishes. The hopes for a home playoff spot now rested on Birmingham's ability to not lose to New York. Well, as we're watching this game, everyone's checking their phones every couple minutes because we're getting tweets and DMs and notifications. Birmingham just flat out destroyed New York.
Birmingham or Loudon?
Loudon, yeah. I mixed these teams up. Loudon.
My mind is thinking Loudon as you're saying that. And
yeah,
I've
I've got the scores for the 2 games in progress right now up, and Birmingham's the one in front of me, so I can flip it in there.
Okay.
Loudon absolutely just slaps New York off. What was it? 6-1, 6-2?
Oh, it was.
Something like that.
I think it ended 7-3 or something like that was the final. But yeah, they were just absolutely just destroying New York.
So holy crap, we're still alive for 4th based on tiebreakers and permutations and stuff like that. And Louisville and Memphis are still playing the last half hour of their game. And Memphis was leading at that point.
Yeah, Memphis scores first. We're all looking around
Memphis is up. We're like, oh man,
oh my God!
The Yakin move is going to pay off. The Brandon Allen move is going to pay off. We've got a former USF player there. All of it's coming together.
everybody's a Memphis fan for the next 30
Oh,
minutes.
man.
We're all tweeting happy thoughts. Life is great. It's just wonderful. Memphis till I die.
I
And then
tweeted
we
out
die.
defend Memphis from the podcast account, and Memphis retweets it and they say, "Hey, we'll take it."
Yeah, Memphis tweeted at me that
enjoyed
night.
Leo liked the tweet. It was a good time.
Right.
Louisville equalizes.
And then Louisville equalizes. And not just Louisville, but former Tampa Bay Rowdy, Antoine Hopino.
So I've been saying all year how the Rowdies had definitely clearly won the Hopino lucky trade. Both guys scored
On the final night.
on the final night. I don't like Antoine anymore. I'm just going to say that. I don't know if I'm going to say that we won that trade anymore. He scores the goal that sends us on the road. We slip from fourth at the beginning of the day. Not as far as we could have gone, but we ended up in fifth and miss out on the home playoff opportunity and go on the road to Louisville. And there's been some interesting commentary around that we're going to get to in a little bit. But man, and it's Jochen Graf announces before the game it's going to be his last game. He's in there. It's late. He's fighting for the ball and fighting for shots. And I'm just like, I know he probably has no idea what's depending on this game at that point. But I'm just like pretending that Jochen knew that he could send us to a home playoff game if he scored. I appreciate it. I appreciate the effort, Jochen. But we really looked like after backing into the playoffs, we were going to. I don't say backing in. We did some work, but we clinched on a night that we lost. So I'll call that kind of backing in. We thought we might be able to back in the fourth place. We were just going to end up there because no one else really wanted it, and it didn't work out that way. So now the playoff bracket is set. We've got games going on right now, and we're not going to do like the breaking updates because these don't really matter to us a ton at the moment. But we will. There's 2 games right now, 2 games later tonight. In the Eastern Conference, North Carolina FC has just scored in the second half about a minute ago and leads Birmingham Legion 2-1 with about a half hour left to play. And up in Ottawa, still tied at 1 apiece in about the 61st, getting into the 62nd minute now. I think we both predicted that Birmingham would pull off the upset. They're going to have to score some goals here. And that Ottawa on home turf would send Charleston home and advance. We'll see what happens, and we'll do some updates later at a more naturally occurring time. So, our playoff bracket. In the East, other than the 2 games tonight, Charleston will host the lowest seed coming out of tonight's games.
No.
Pittsburgh. Their logos,
the
logos get me all, because Pittsburgh redid their logo and it gets me all confused now. I haven't slept much this week. My arm is screwed. My shoulder's screwed up. Like
I was like, what are you talking about?
Alt playoffs. Pittsburgh will host the lowest seed coming out of the play-in round tonight. We go to Louisville Saturday at 7:00 as well. Red Bulls travel to Indy on Saturday 7:30. Nashville hosts the high seed coming out of this game at 8:00. Let's go through and make some predictions here. Now, first off, do you care who which play-in teams advance? Does that affect your?
Actually, it does for me.
All right.
It does for me. I put out on Facebook on the unused subs page the predictions that you and I had, because we actually both matched. We both believe Birmingham. We both believed Ottawa would come out of this game.
Which means North Carolina and Charleston are going to win easily.
Yeah, which seems to just be falling right on our face. Though Ottawa's playing pretty good right now, but we'll see what happens. Actually
hold on a second. Now, we don't want to give our Rowdies Louisville predictions right here, right?
No, we're going to skip that one for now.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll skip that one for now, but we'll do the other ones right now.
Okay.
So I think personally, if Birmingham can come back and defeat North Carolina, I think they have a better chance of beating Pittsburgh than North Carolina does, because I think Pittsburgh is a very beatable team when it comes into playoff time.
Strong words.
I know. It's I'm doubting like the number 1 seed right now in the league. Heaven help me. So I think honestly, I think if Birmingham does pull this off and they come back, I think that I'm taking them over Pittsburgh. Now, if North Carolina wins, then I'm taking Pittsburgh. But I think there's a matchup there that I think favors that particular sway. So it is what it is.
Well, now, but if Birmingham, yeah, okay, never mind. No, I see what you're saying. I'm telling you. My take on it: Pittsburgh beats whoever they plays.
Okay, fair.
I don't think it matters.
Fair.
Pittsburgh's hit on this thing, and maybe it's something we need to look at in the offseason, where they don't necessarily like sprint out of the starting blocks. But by the time the end of the season, maybe the last month, 6 weeks roll around, heading into the playoffs, they somehow find themselves in the upper part of the bracket, and this year clinched first place overall by being solid at the end where other teams start to fade. Like us. Like New York. Like all these teams that were, Nashville was top for a while. They ended up second. Indy, I think, was on top at one point. Pittsburgh won the game of Eastern Conference Thrones. At least in the regular season. So I've got Pittsburgh beating whoever. We're going to skip over Louisville and the Rowdies and come back to it. Indy and Red Bull.
I'm taking Indy. I think that's a safe bet at this point.
Indy at the mic. Remember, they're not playing at the football stadium at Lucas Oil Field. They're going back to their original home at the mic at IUPUI.
I was gonna say IUPUAUIUIUIUPIOU.
Yeah, I'm the stretch that New York has had, their shenanigans on the road and Indy's strength, and I think they've already sold out the game. It's going to be a huge crowd. I think Indy takes that one.
Agreed.
Nashville in the high seed.
I think Nashville beats whoever they play.
Yeah. Well,
that's my prediction. I think Pittsburgh's a riskier pick
I think Nashville wins it. I think
that matchup. I think because I think in the way that I'm looking at it, I think Nashville actually pairs up pretty well with Ottawa and Charleston for a playoff style match. So for me, I don't see either one of those two teams beating Nashville. On the flip side, I think Birmingham has a very legit chance of beating Pittsburgh. But so that's why I'm making that bold choice, because I think there's a matchup thing there. But yeah, I'm taking Nashville for everything for that game.
So we can't do the top half of the bracket because we're not going to give away I'm not going to do spoilers for our Rowdies Louisville yet.
Correct.
We both got Indy, Nashville in the semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you got?
I am taking Indy in that game. I think Indy actually will. Yeah, I'm taking Indy.
Indy would have to go on the road to Nashville, and I back you up 100%. I think Indy takes that game. So we have Indy advancing to the Eastern Conference Finals versus a team that we will decide or announce in a little while. Yes. All right, so let's see. We don't have to do tables. We don't have to do. It's so weird. Like the show notes are all so different this week.
I know, right? It's funny because there's all these images of words.
Do we want to do the team? Like, do we want to do the preview first so we can finish the bracket? Or do we want to do all the other stuff and come back to it?
No, we'll come back to it. We're gonna end the show on a high note, which I know for a lot of people is what's the high note for this playoff matchup. But I will let you know. I will show you the light when we get into the preview for this upcoming week and the rest of the playoffs.
All right, I will say this is not a breaking in, but this seems like a natural transition. Birmingham has tied the game. 2-2. Charleston and Ottawa still 1-1 in the 68th minute. All right, so sitting in line at Carline at my daughter's school today, ready to pick her up so I could get her to baton practice so she can keep traveling across the state in tropical storms and winning competitions here and far. Yeah, I'm bragging. It's okay. And you look at sometimes I just look at my phone and the content just falls right in my lap. John McCarthy, beloved goalkeeper of the Tampa Bay Rowdies, posted a tweet. It's since been taken down, but we have been sent screenshots of it for posterity, His tweet says, wonder if JT Braddock, who is Justin Braddock, who is the director of field operations for USL, and the USL Championship will keep their word about Louisville City not playing a playoff at Slugger Field. He said filed, but I'm going to assume he meant field, because of field conditions. If you don't keep your word, then you and the league as a whole don't care about player safety, and your words mean poop emoji. And he had attached a screenshot of a note that he wrote this afternoon as well. First time I ever had to play in Louisville, and hopefully my last, because the field is actually scary to play on. My old teammate and friend who plays for Louisville slipped and did his hamstring in the first half because of the conditions. Probably every 10 minutes, someone was slipping or losing their footing because of the field. In the second half, I slipped on the goal, which was 100% due to the field. And in film, I watched multiple goalies slip under goal-scoring opportunities. I hear the USL fines them every game, but it must not be enough if this is true, because they continue to play there, which shows the USL is just happy to make a little extra money and does not care about player safety. Now, I know for sure after this game that player safety is not a top priority in this league, and that is embarrassing. And the final last season was played in Louisville, but on another field. It was Lynn Stadium at the University of Louisville, because the game was nationally televised, obviously not due to player safety. Players on Louisville don't want to play on Slugger Field, a baseball field, and neither do away teams, but for some reason the league has allowed it for multiple seasons. All the best to Louisville coaches and players all the rest of the way. I think he actually wrote this earlier and was like reposting it. I think he wrote this after the game in Louisville, is what it sounds like. Do not try to fine me or the club, because we will not pay it for respectfully speaking the truth. That's my favorite line in the whole thing. He just drops like a do not at me in there. It's glorious. I never speak out like this, but enough is enough. No more baseball or football fields for professional soccer in America. Can't argue with him there. What is it? The Toronto and NYCFC game is being played at the Met Stadium.
Yes.
Tiny field as far as dimensions. Camera shots through the baseball netting, and just the whole crappy visual experience it projects. Like, I'm good with that. By far the worst field in America, hands down. No one's really arguing that point with them. Even the Louisville players and the Louisville fans.
Well, yeah, because Louisville's building their own stadium because their current stadium is bad. I mean, let's just be fair. I mean, everybody knows Slugger Field is just an interim solution to their stadium needs, and it always was.
You know, I remember when the Al Lang renovations were done, and there was I think it was a Tampa Bay Business Journal. They posted a bunch of pictures and stuff like from underneath the stadium, like the actual infrastructure, and how there was no weight room, there was no laundry facilities, there was none of this stuff in there. Going back to the year that the Rowdies won the NASL championship. And I thought it was amazing that the team was able to do that, considering what was going on and off the field, and apparently under the stadium as well. The fact that Louisville's won 2 championships, now, that, like I said, the final wasn't played at Slugger last year, but it was the year before, and they're undefeated in playoffs there. That's up there as far as being as impressive as what the Rowdies were able to pull off with their weird field. The grass, remember, the grass was terrible and it was slanted. The whole field wasn't even level. And
yeah, but it's not that simple.
No, it's not.
It's not that simple though, because we didn't share the facility with anybody else. So we could do whatever we wanted. We could level out the diamond. We could level out the field, make a proper pitch.
After Bill took over. Before we couldn't.
Well, no, because we still shared it at that point. We still shared it with St. Pete Baseball Commission officially.
Yeah, with a Dutch U19 baseball team for 3 games a year.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the thing for me, is that it's not fair to compare Al Lang's situation to Louisville's situation, because at the same token, while you're propping up, what Edwards did with the stadium and making it a soccer-specific stadium, Louisville said, we don't need to put any money into this. We'll just build a whole new ground altogether and make it a proper soccer pitch. And
I'm more propping up what the teams were able to do in their conditions.
But Louisville doesn't have a choice. But that's the thing. Louisville doesn't have a choice to do what they're doing.
They found a way last year to not play at Slugger.
Yeah, but the event but Patrick just tweeted at us. Patrick, for those of you that don't follow Twitter as crazy as we do, he is a friend of ours that is up in Louisville. He listens to the show all the time. Probably has nothing to do with the fact that we're playing his team this weekend. So I'm sure he's listening to us because he's a faithful, awesome listener and fan of the unused substitutes. But he sent out a reminder to us on Twitter that the championship game last season was not played at Slugger, not for field conditions, sight lines, or viewership reasons. It had to do with the fact that there was a previously scheduled event at Slugger going on during the championship weekend that they could not play the game there because of it. And that was the reason why the game moved.
That might be what they say. I have a feeling that if Slugger was available, they would have made every attempt to get out of playing it there to begin with. Or at least,
like I said,
at least the league would have been like, you guys sure? And
that's the thing is that I actually do believe that what McCarthy is saying, as far as, the league potentially fining them or something like that, maybe, I don't know what the reason would be necessarily. Maybe it's the type of turf or something they lay out over the dirt compared to having grass. Who knows? I don't know the answer to that question. But the fact is that they're building a brand new, gorgeous gem of a stadium, and I couldn't be more happier for them.
Oh, absolutely! I want to go visit.
It's awesome. Yeah. I think it looks amazing. I can't wait to go there. So, as much as I understand every player's frustration, because I would guarantee you that not even Louisville players like playing at Slugger. It just it's a job. It is what it is. They're paying my salary, so I'm happy with it. I have a job. I think everybody and their mother knows that that's not a good situation to be in. But Louisville solved it. Louisville solved the issue. They're building a gem. It's fine. I don't care. It's not a factor to me. That's just kind of how I feel about it. If the Slugger would look so much worse if they weren't building a brand new stadium right now.
Right.
That's the thing that gets me. It's like 3 or 4 years ago, right? Because I don't even know if they were around 4 years ago, but at least going back like 2 or 3 years, Slugger was as depressing as you could get as a home facility because of the fact that it was like, well, this is all we have, and who knows if it's going to get any better. Everybody can look at that now and go, it is what it is. Whatever, who cares? We'll be fine next year. So that's where I'm at in this conversation. I'm excited for them, and I really don't care what the pitch is because I know that Louisville players aren't exactly happy about Slugger, but who's going to do anything about it? Well, they did. They built a stadium, so that's cool. Now, that being said, I absolutely 100% believe you and believe what your opinion is on the timing of when these words actually got typed, because all the best to Louisville coaches and players the rest of the way absolutely tells me that he said that after the second game there, or at the game there, about a month ago. Mm-hmm. I absolutely believe that that is the case.
And hats off to him for restraining his emotions after being cruelly targeted by a vicious studs up slide into him that was obviously delivered in an attempt to injure, and yet received not even a whistle. You wanted my opinion, Patrick. There's my opinion on that play.
and again, my whole thing on that whole
asterisk,
play, though,
I might be biased.
I'm just saying, if Patrick will remember, I said on the show, the referee should have made a decision on that play one way or another. And this is an important point to bring up because we're playing Louisville again. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have another player doing something similar this weekend against McCarthy. I'm okay with a yellow card against McCarthy for a dive. I'm okay with it.
If it's a dive.
If you are looking at the play and you see that there's no contact there, or you don't believe there's contact there, and McCarthy's flopping over like a fish, give him a yellow card. Flag down the referee, make sure you're giving him a yellow. That was, and I said that on the show that after that game, that was a horrendous play on decision by the referee and the assistant. Somebody has to be able to see that. Somebody has to be in a position to be able to tell one way or another. That's not a play on. That's either a yellow or red card against Louisville or a yellow card for diving against McCarthy. It has to be one of the two. And I said that on the show.
You know what else is going to factor into it this weekend? I don't know if you saw. I assume you did because you love the weather. Patrick tweeted out the weather forecast, which is calling for about 4 inches of rain on Saturday in Louisville.
Yeah, I was going to let that go for the preview for the actual official preview.
Fun.
You know, little things like that.
You know what?
That whole segment, whole other segment of the show.
Can I make a suggestion? I'd play in the parking lot of Slugger in the rain before I'd play on Slugger.
Throw towels out in the parking lots. That way, it's a bit of a softer landing, and it'll be about the same.
I mean, look, they had their game there last week. They said their goodbyes. You just can't go back like this. You know, this is when you break up with your long distance boyfriend or girlfriend because you're going off school. You can't just go back the next week. Just play in the parking lot, the highway, something.
Or you can just play it at beautiful Al Lang Stadium.
You know,
if assuming the Rowdies actually win against Hartford, things like that.
Or several other games, or draw a game that they lost, or
Yeah, like, that really wonderfully 0-0 game against Indy at the beginning of the year where we had a man up for like 80 minutes and couldn't do anything with it. Those little moments. That's
one of the things I want to do in the offseason is see if we can go back and pinpoint which game broke it, because it's not the Hartford game.
Oh, I'm okay with that because there's an hour's worth of games to review for that purpose. Oh, my God.
That's a whole show all right there. We could do like the top 5 games that broke the home playoffs. All right. So the other thing that I want to put. So and my only other big issue with this is if someone from the league, especially someone with the title of Director of Field Operations, made this kind of statement. Of course, there's nowhere on the record to go back and refer to it. Then that's no bueno. Because if you're going to say it, then the league had better be involved in coming up with some sort of alternative to the situation.
Yeah, and I think that's one reason probably why he got told to take it down, even though he wrote it like weeks ago. I think that's absolutely true because that's a hell of a bold thing to say.
Yep.
If you don't have anything else to say to back it up.
The other like league related news I was going to put out there, and it. Not directly related to us, although I suspect we will start seeing him more often. Peter Wilt, well-known soccer club gadfly, man about town, GM, board member, director, all everywhere. He got the Chicago Fire started in MLS. He got Indy 11 started in NASL. He got Forward Madison started in League One. Has departed from his role as managing director of the club in order to take a job at USL headquarters in sunny Tampa, Florida, where the weather was actually nice today and you could go outside without dying for about 6 hours. Starting and developing supporters groups in future USL markets, and there was some other description I put in here. Oh, here it is. Work with communities to develop supporters groups in new USL markets and assist existing teams with fan engagement. Now, I think he would do a good job at this. He's always been a fan favorite of the fans of the clubs where he's been. I just don't know how I feel about the league getting involved in starting supporters group. The advising teams on fan engagement, I think, is probably a good thing. There are some teams out there that could definitely use some help in that area. When you look at attendances and ticket sales and stuff like that. The whole starting supporters group, that's he'll be good at it. I just don't know if that's a job that the league should be getting their hands into.
I hear what you're saying, but I think there is a point where I can see where some things are good news. So, for instance, in some specific contexts, having league support or having somebody there that can go, okay, we're going to put a team in Boise, Idaho. having somebody there that can be like, hey guys, if anybody is in this city and wants to get a supporter group going or something of that nature, we are interested in having, people try and start one or whatever.
Right.
We have, like, if you need help organizing anything, like a place, ideas for scarves, things like that, where to go to buy things like this, what culture, what is the culture of the league? Here's some of the rules that we have for the league. I actually think it's okay, because having like that kind of liaison to say, okay, we want you guys to exist. Here's like, there's not a lot of rules. Here's a couple of them, but we can also point you in the right direction if you guys want to get shirts, things like that. We can help you get, find where to go to get those things,
right,
to get yourselves organized. Here's some tips for, trying to engage your own brand, to get your own brand name out there, because it is a brand. If you don't, I know some people don't want to hear that, but it is a bit of a brand name. And here's how to get your group out there. Here are things that you can do to get your thing out there, because it's hard for somebody that's never done it before to just go in and say, okay, we're going to start a supporter group.
Right.
Look how many teams across the league where we've seen first and second year teams have issues with fans that had no idea what they were doing, and they end up looking like fools as a result, the supporters themselves. And that's happened a lot. So I'm okay with this role for him. And I'm okay with the league creating that. As long as it's not here's what you're supposed to do.
Right.
That's not the role.
Here's the chance you're allowed to use. Just change this name to match your city or match your team. Yeah. Yeah.
It should just be, what can I help you with? What are tools that you aren't aware of, or what are problems that you think you might have, or what are things that you're not good at yet? Like, are you good at Twitter? Well, here, I can kind of show you actually how to use Twitter and be maybe a social media type manager for supporter groups.
Right.
Things like that, where it's, let me teach you the things that the clubs around the groups around the league use to get themselves out there and to promote their own name within the community. Here are things that other people are doing. And having somebody that can reach out to those nascent groups, that I think that's good. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I don't want to start seeing tweets promoting the official supporters group tifo printer of the USL coming out at some point. So we'll see. I guess he'll be relocating to the Tampa area now. We'll probably see him wandering around Al Lang, I bet, every now and then.
Oh, yeah.
Talking to the mob people, stuff like that. With the no home game this weekend, the team is opening up the stadium for a watch party on Saturday. You can bring in outside food. You can bring in blankets, I guess, to sit on the field and watch. No beverages, no chairs are allowed. It's free to get in. I haven't heard. I assume parking would be free as well, or are everyone going to pull up and they're just going to tell you the lot's full when there's like 3 cars? Which is so. I'm going to. My plan is to go to that. We'll see what happens. I'm planning right now on going there. I have to pick up some items that I found out are now belonging to me. So I'm going to go there for that, stay for that. Patrick just tweeted he wouldn't be surprised if the game's delayed till Sunday because of weather. I'll be there Sunday, too, because I'm taking my daughter to the haunted house thing that they're having at the stadium. They're doing one on, I think it's Friday night, and then one on Sunday afternoon. Kept Saturday open just in time for that playoff game, which isn't happening. So either way, I will be at Al Lang over the weekend. And we'll do some updates from there. Score updates. We're still at 2-2 with about 2.5 minutes to go, plus stoppage in North Carolina. Charleston and Ottawa, same situation, about 2 minutes to go. About 2 minutes ago, still tied at 1-1. I think I did say Ottawa in extra time. I meant penalties.
That's true.
I had Birmingham winning in regulation. They've got a few more minutes to pull this off. Let's see what happens. All right, our game preview. Quite possibly our last game preview of the season.
Don't say that.
I just said possibly. I just said possibly. Louisville. I mean, it's kind of hard. Not hard, but kind of weird going over them again when we just played them like, a month ago, it seems like? Pretty much. Louisville finished this year 17-9-8 overall, 10-3-4 at home. 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss in their last 5. Drew both games versus the Rowdies this year, home and away. I didn't point out my funny stat. I was going to do this earlier. The last 3 goals the Rowdies have scored from the run of play have come while they're down a man.
Yes.
And the other one was the penalty against Indy. Like, we're a penalty away from being on a 3-game losing streak going into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
that's depressing.
Can we just start the game down 10 men? Give us 90 minutes with 10 men, and I think we could dominate this one pretty easy. Leading them in goals to finish off the year, Rasmussen with 13, Spencer with 8, Matoso with 5, and I threw in Antoine when I got a chance, Hopino with 4 goals. I don't know if that includes any that he scored here. I'm not sure if they're counting that in the stats from when he moved over there or not. Assists, Jimenez with 7, McCabe with 4, and Ownby and Spencer tied with 4. Shots, Rasmussen 62, Williams and Spencer with 39, Ownby with 38. Chances created, Jimenez with 90, McCabe with 68, Ownby with 34. Clean sheets, you have 2 keepers splitting 9 clean sheets between them, 5 for Hubbard and 4 for Lunt. I think Lunt's who we faced last time. They're conceding 1.2 goals per game, keeping 58% possession, and averaging 52.8 minutes per goal. They've scored 9 from outside the box, 4 from direct free kicks. All the yellow cards reset for this game, except for the 2 Malik Johnson picked up last week against Hartford. Malik Johnson is out for this game. We'll see if we're going to see Oduro and Fernandez back. If it was a home game, I'd say probably, but on a soggy, patchwork quilt Slugger field, they might come off the bench. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this game? What are you looking for? You said you have. Well, hold on. No, wait, let's just do this for the good of our fans. I'm going to make my prediction, and then I'm going to let you do a second. Okay, Patrick updated. Patrick's our Louisville stat department. We faced Hubbard in Louisville. I say we lose 2-1. Now that I've brought the audience down, except for Patrick, Steven, shine some light on this situation for us.
All right, so shining light on what's a dismal thing. Now, I will say this, in terms of form going into the playoffs, and we had mentioned this earlier because Louisville's been known for making these really crazy late season surges. While the Rowdies went 4 wins, 7 losses, and 3 draws in our last 14 games, on the flip side, Louisville had 9 wins during that stretch, 2 losses, and 3 draws. So we're talking about 2 teams that are having completely different, basically last half of the season type situations. That definitely plays against what the Rowdies do. But I think some of this plays into why the Rowdies went 4-7-3 in the last 14 games. I have a theory. It's one that I know that there are people that are going to absolutely disagree with me with, and that's fine. It's okay. I love you anyways. I think Malik Johnson being hurt, being out, I think helps the Rowdies' chances this weekend. I think even if Leo's out, I think even if Aduro's out, I think actually the combination of all of those things actually helps the Tampa Bay Rowdies against Louisville. Here's why I say that. The shift in form from the first 20 games where we only lost 1 game to the last 14 where we lost 7 our goal scoring output actually increased the second half of that season. The last 14 games, we were scoring 0.7 goals per game higher than we did during the 1 loss and 20 game stretch. And that plays into what we were saying the last several weeks, going back even into what Neil was saying himself when we made the moves that we did with the trades. We needed more offense. Malik has a tendency of playing pretty far up the field. I've noted it before that he's not he is a bit of a defensive liability. That was something that even Birmingham's head coach came out and said.
I'm jumping in. I'm jumping in just because you said Birmingham. In stoppage time, Birmingham has scored and leads 3-2.
Yes. I think when we look at the fact that Malik did not start during the beginning of the season. I think his first game played, if memory serves, so I didn't write it down.
He missed
the
first 13, I think.
It was the 13th game of the year. So that was after we had that amazing start, basically, the undefeated start. That's when he started showing up on the field, and we did pretty well for a few more games, and then everything went down. I think when you look at some of the players that we have, I think we're going to go back to the back three that we had with Richards, Morad, and Diakite. I think you're going to see Barry push up into right mid. I think this is an opportunity to see David Najem come back into the field. I think that's a possibility coming in at left mid. I think you'll see Doherty, and I think you'll see Poku. I think I would play Steinberger as an attacking mid. By the way, I think Ekra is a possibility for left mid as well, for what it's worth. I would probably go Sebastian and Lucky for the 2 strikers. That's what I would go with if I'm building the formation out. And I think that actually gives us an advantage because I think with Barry and with either Ekra or Najem, I think they play deeper in the field. I think we're going to see a team that's going to go ahead and concede a little possession like we did at the beginning of the year. And because that worked for us so well at the beginning, I actually think, and here it is, the crescendo moment of the show, the moment I've been waiting for, I actually think the Rowdies will win this weekend at Louisville because of the type of personnel that we're going to be forced to use potentially. And in some cases, mandatorily. We have to obviously make one. I think the Rowdies actually have a very legit chance to win this game, and those are my reasons why.
Point. The Rowdies have never won in Louisville. Counterpoint. This is the second time that the Rowdies have made the playoffs during their participation in the USL. The second time the Rowdies made the playoffs in NASL, they played on the road. They came in as one of the wild cards, and they won the whole damn thing in the second leg at Outlang.
You're damn right we did. It was amazing.
I still don't think we do it this week, but anything's possible. Anything is possible. Patrick did ask what are our Western Conference projections. We both replied with, there's a Western Conference. I don't have the whole thing mapped out in my head, but I will tell you this. Phoenix will not make the conference final, let alone the USL final.
I think I predicted, I think on the bracket, the funny bracket I did, because I don't know the first damn thing about the Western Conference at all. I know there's Phoenix and a bunch of other teams. I honestly, I'm with you. I don't think Phoenix does it. I think somebody will end up tripping them up. I don't know who, because I don't necessarily know if it even matters.
And you've got Reno and Fresno are the next 2 seeds, but there's so much off the field stuff going on with Fresno right now that honestly, who knows what's going to go down with them, if that's going to impact their play on the pitch. And it's hard to look at any other team besides Phoenix in the Western Conference because it's kind of been Phoenix and everybody else for most of the season. Like you might be the 2 seed, but that's not necessarily as impressive as say being the 2 seed in the East, where you had to fight to get to that spot. In the West, it's kind of like there's some other teams that finished here too. I don't know. I mean, I could see it anywhere from being Orange County. Sacramento's a play-in team. Now, they did lose last year in their first round game, but I could see them advancing all the way to the final. The West is so wide open because there's one really good team who has stumbled a little bit in the last few weeks, and then there's a lot of teams that I think are pretty much right there with each other. There's not a huge separation between 2 and 8 as there is with or 2 and 6, I guess, as there is with between 1 and 2. So we'll watch and see. But my hot take there is that it will not be Phoenix. They will not return to the final again this year.
Yeah.
Anything else? Birmingham has won, by the way.
Yes.
Ottawa and Charleston are in extra time, still 1-1. So we'll see how that one pays off off air. Let's go ahead and wrap this up because
it's an hour,
and I'm old and I want to go to bed.
Good. We did good.
All right, we love yous for this week. Everybody who went out to the watch parties. It was a great atmosphere, it looked like, at Old Northeast. I hope that's a venue that maybe the mob continues to develop a relationship with, because they do. I know there's other fans that have been going there for other games, other away games, and there's a good setup in there. It looks like a fun place. We had a blast at Shamrock, even though we didn't win. There's a great video out there somewhere of like 4 or 5 of us at one point singing "Ale Ale Ale," only where I changed the bar. I changed the lyrics for one part to "Even When We're at the Bar." Because it fit. I gotta try and get a copy of it because we actually sounded good, and we're mostly in I don't want to say tune, but in rhythm at least. Patrick picks Louisville 2-1 after extra time. I don't know if I think it even gets to extra time. If I'm being honest, we've swapped places this week. I've gone from the infernal optimist to I'm like Steve Austin, no chance in hell, and you've taken over the sprinkling magic fairy dust on the matchups and telling us how we're going to win. I like it.
That's okay. Every now and then it looks good on me.
We're both playing out of formation this week. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
All right. Who's your We Love Yous?
I love the joint. This was only my second watch party at Old Northeast, actually, and I loved it. I thought it was a great time. There's actually so if you've never been, there's a pizza joint that's owned by the same owner that's literally right next door, and so you can either order from the menu that Old Northeast does, which they have a fantastic menu, really good dishes, like almost gourmet type dishes that are made there. Or if you want to just order a big ass pizza from the place next door, you just order a big ass pizza from the place next door, and you have it. They'll walk it right over to your table, and life is good. We actually had a deal where everybody had pizza and salads or whatever for just a flat fee, and just ate as much as you want. And it was, we had a great time. It was a great time. So.
All right. Thank you, as always, to Wolfface for the theme music, to Radio St. Pete for putting us on the digital airwaves, such as they are, and to Shamrock for letting us have lots of fun down in Sarasota. Thank you to you guys for continuing to listen and find time to subject yourselves to this. We appreciate it. We truly do. If you continue to share, subscribe, rate, and review wherever you find our show at, puts us in front of more people. And that's good news in the end for everybody. If you'd like to support us on an ongoing basis, maybe get to be an executive producer on one of the shows, send us some info, send us some questions, send us some content. You can go to patreon.com/unusedSubsPod and join the few, the proud, the unsub Patreons. Thank you to our sponsor, Roughneck Scarves, the official scarf supplier of MLS, USL, and US Soccer. Get custom scarves for your group or team at roughneckscarves.com. Almost made it through one last bit without messing up. Steven, are you still thinking about going?
I will say this, because of the rain situation, if there is a chance that might be delayed, I don't think I can justify it because I can't do a Sunday game. So I don't. That actually kind of kills it probably for me, unfortunately. So I may see you at Owl Lang on Saturday then? Yeah, because you might take some precautions that it gets rained out, then it doesn't, then we can go hang out there. All right. We'll possibly see you then.
I really should just get a hotel and stay up there since I'm going in again like Sunday afternoon. Except I might be heading over to Hard Rock to cash in those season ticket holder vouchers at some point.
Oh yeah, that's right. Ah, crap, we got like 8 days to use those, don't we?
Yep. And now I have 2 because I got my extras for renewing the season
Oh,
tickets.
you never used the first ones?
No, I haven't used first ones yet. But I have a plan. I'm like a Cylon. All right, so I may see you on Saturday. I will talk to you sometime soon. We will definitely be back next week, win or lose. Win, and we'll just keep talking until we stop winning, lose, and we'll figure out an off-season schedule from there. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. It's been a privilege. Prove me wrong, Rowdies. I'd love to see it. See you, Steven.
You have a great night, Matt. Go Rowdies this weekend. Let's win a playoff game and have the possibility of a home game next week. Let's go, baby.
The Rowdies were here, the Rowdies were there, they kicked the wall around. The Rowdies were here, the Rowdies were